Let's welcome in our next guest. That's Eric Brackman, the Vice President of Commerce Media at Coty. He's here to discuss things on Black Friday into Cyber Monday, all things holiday shopping. Let's start with sort of your baseline expectations for this holiday season. Those who have been betting against the American consumer have been very, very disappointed over the last few years that it continues to be a resilient bunch. Are we expecting more of the same here for this holiday season?
Hey, Alex. Thanks for having me on Black Friday here. The short answer to your question is yes. So we're expecting a very strong holiday season. So NRF's got some data out there that we're expecting a record year between 2.5%, 3.5% growth, $980 billion this year. The Cyber 5 period, so the time period between Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday, expected to be particularly strong. So Bain's got a forecast out there growing 5% from an e-commerce perspective, reaching $75 billion this year. So I think all signs are pointing towards a very strong season.
So in that growth, that's nominal growth of 5% in e-commerce, and you said 2-3% total in just general holiday shopping sales?
Correct. Yep.
And so when we kind of factor in that there have been price pressures that haven't alleviated from inflation or however we want to describe it, supply shock still working its way through, is that enough to paint a robust picture, or is that just simply things costing more?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the American consumer today is looking for value. So even though we're seeing inflation coming down, we're seeing real wage growth increasing, we're seeing consumer confidence increasing, consumers are still really looking for value. So expect consumers across the spectrum to be looking for value this holiday season. That includes price, that includes promotion. It also includes things like convenience. How easy is it to shop? There's a ton of data out there. Walmart specifically released some data about their Q3 increase. So they picked up a couple of points year over year. And what they said is actually 75% of their growth actually came from households making more than $100,000 a year. So we're seeing, again, consumers across the spectrum really looking for value and really looking to lean into places where they can find value.
And I'm glad you mentioned Walmart. I'll throw Amazon in there as well. And this has been a consistent theme throughout my retail conversations, has been the consumer is looking for convenience, efficiency, availability, and most importantly, that first word you use, which is value. Those two companies deliver on all of those. And there's really not particularly any other company that can compete to the same extent right now on those factors until we see perhaps, more of a kind of stepping back up, kind of, graduating back up the kind of discretionary price point. It's really hard to see how a regular small business can compete with what you can do doing business with Amazon. Is that concerning, or in the end, is it just sort of, hey, maybe more money is going to one or two or 5 or 10 companies, but it's still money, going through the system?
Yeah, I think that's the right way to think about it. There's still money flowing through the system, and there's still goodness kind of happening across the industry. So there are trends that are certainly going to benefit everyone. That being said, there are going to be winners and losers.
Mm-hmm.
And the winners, again, are the ones that are going to be able to drive value, that are going to be able to drive convenience, that are going to have the right assortment of products that consumers are actually looking for. So no matter if you're one of the big guys or you're one of the small guys, or where you're invested, those are the things that are really going to matter.
I guess, too, as sort of a counterpoint to myself, too, is the Amazon, does serve as that marketplace for so many businesses and really just helps with sort of the logistics and the marketing aspect of using their kind of front-facing platform. So still a chance for a lot of participation through Amazon, which I think last year was something like a third of U.S. e-commerce sales, maybe a little bit less than that. So if we're only seeing growth in e-commerce, I'd imagine the biggest players in the case of Amazon and Walmart would only grow their market share as well. But talk to me about this kind of compressed holiday season. This was another theme that's come up in conversations in regards to the holiday season here, which is we got kind of a shortened period between Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. Does that have a material impact on the amount of goods that are sold, or does it just make it a little bit busier when we do step into the stores?
Yeah, it's a good question. So there are certainly fewer shopping days between Thanksgiving and Christmas this year compared to the average year. That being said, a lot of shopping actually started much earlier in the season this year. I think north of 75% of consumers, according to some data from Deloitte, actually started shopping much earlier this holiday season. So we also saw, a couple of events from, Target and Walmart and Amazon of deal days back in October and early November. So folks are out there and they're shopping, and so I do expect the overall numbers to come in line, and I do expect a little bit more traffic during a compressed season as well.
And so those of us who are a little bit last minute might need to remind ourselves that we got a little bit less time this year to get some of that holiday gift buying done. But talk to me about this kind of move towards, I guess, what you describe as retail media, but let's say like an advertising arm of some of these companies. Now, is this as simple as, I go on, let's say Amazon, for example, but we could really just say XYZ. I buy whatever good, and then it says, hey, you might also want this? Or is this something different? Is this like when I go to, let's say Whole Foods, which is an Amazon company, and the new movie might be on the paper bag or something like that? Or is it some combination of both?
Yeah, you got it. It's all the above. So it's really helping companies look at the audience that they have, look at the data that they have, and look at the experiences that they're providing consumers, and really looking at alternative ways to monetize those. So those businesses, the retail media, commerce media businesses within some of these larger retailers have become quite big. So growing faster than some of the traditional media giants out there, and really putting up quite significant numbers. Amazon particularly, you called them out. Will do over $50 billion in advertising this year on Amazon ads. So a ton of opportunity there for a retailer to really look at alternative monetization beyond just their core retail. And that really plays into the increased traffic, really plays into the increased activity that we're seeing in the retail space in general. Online shopping, especially during the Cyber 5 period, is going to be huge. Over half of households will make a purchase in the United States over the next couple of days online. And those eyeballs are also looking at ads while they're doing that shopping.
I'm looking at this based just on kind of fiscal year 2023 numbers. When we look at advertising, it was 47 billion, as you said. We're targeting almost 50, let's call it 56 billion. It's a little bit more than that. Almost 20% year-over-year growth from those numbers. It's on pace in the case of Amazon to be the fastest growing part of its business. So for something that it's only focused on for 3, 4, 5 years here, whatever consultant or team at Amazon, I mean, they just created a very, very robust revenue stream that seems pretty easy to synergize with what they're already doing. I'm sure other companies, I know that you've called out, Walmart as well in some of your notes. I'm sure they take a note of this, but this is not something that every company can do. You got to be a very big company to be able to leverage your platform, to leverage the customer data, to leverage the fact that you have a giant customer base to advertise to first. So this seems like something that if we were going to look for kind of continued outperformance of some of these big mega cap, powerhouse retail companies, this is how they're going to do it. Is that how you're looking at this?
Yeah, I'm quite bullish on retail media as a growth engine for a lot of retailers, especially from a profitability standpoint. I think you hit on an interesting note there, where there's a lot of big guys who are in this market right now, and there's certainly a lot of small and mid-sized players as well that are entering. I'm a big proponent of that. Every retailer has an audience that they're speaking to. There's a reason that people are shopping with them, and there are advertisers who are trying to get to that audience. So. The audience that Walmart has is different than the audience that Amazon has, is slightly different from the audience that other retailers have, and so it's really about making sure that we match the right advertiser with the right audience, and again, sometimes that's going to be on Walmart, and sometimes that's going to be somewhere else.
Yeah, just incredible. As I kind of scroll out, it looks like the analysts right now are suggesting that this business for Amazon could hit $100 billion by the end of 2028. That is just absolutely fascinating if that were to take place, because you don't think of that. You think cloud, you think e-commerce, but they've unlocked this third arm of the business, and they're not alone with all the digital media growth that we're seeing. You think companies like Meta and Alphabet as well, they're not going away as this digital media space continues to grow. Final thoughts here, Eric, on Black Friday here. Perhaps how you feel these particular promotion days may go. Are we expecting there to be some front loading around these discounts?
Yeah, I'm quite bullish on the next couple of days. There's a couple of things I'm going to be looking at. One, I am going to be monitoring price, promotion, discounting, where folks are making cuts. Going to be looking at consumer confidence. How much money are folks putting into the system, and what are we seeing there? And last but not least, both from a media perspective and from just an overall growth perspective, what's the traffic look like, especially on mobile devices, especially this afternoon when we've got the biggest day of the year. What are folks going to be doing? And hopefully they're on their phone shopping.
And we'll find out soon enough. The next couple days, very, very critical for a holiday season. A chance for names maybe like a Target that's been a little bit more of a disappointment to get some deals out there in front of customers and get some customers back in those stores for various reasons or online. Eric Brackman, really appreciate you taking the time here on this Friday morning holiday shortened session to give us some thoughts here on this holiday season. He's the Vice President of Commerce Media at Coty. Really smart guy, and some good conversation here on retail.